Of all the East African Luo groups, Padhola of Uganda seems to have maintained the observation of this practice the most. They refer to it as Apipili. They offered food and sacrifices at the Kuunu, which are their ancestral shrines. Luo baby naming ceremony. The birth of a baby in a family was and still is a big cause for celebration in many cultures around the world. Today, we explore the Luo way. Traditionally, the celebrations carried on for days or weeks, depending on the clan. Most clans followed a certain order, while some chose to mix it up as follows: naming, stepping out, welcoming or visitation, and shaving. Golonyathioko, stepping out. This was an important step in the baby's life. Girls were introduced to their new world by stepping out of the house for the first time on the third day, and boys on the fourth day. Stepping out was done for at least 15 minutes between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. while the temperatures were still warm and bearable, that is, when dew was still on the ground. Neno katatingo nyathi, welcoming the baby. The first visit was from the new mother's youngest sisters or cousin to help her until she recovered. The sisters would bring the new mother's favorite food and gifts to make her postnatal life pleasant and easier. Cruciferous vegetables like kale, collards, cabbage were never used in the first few months because they were believed to induce colic. Tedone manyuru, cooking for or feeding the new mom. The maternal side of the family was obligated to cook for the new mother and invite friends and family. It was like a modern-day baby shower, except it was postnatal and everyone who could make it was welcomed. People would bring gifts. It was customary in Luo culture for relatives and friends to pay special visit when a baby was born. This phase was geared towards ensuring physical and emotional support for the mother and baby. Of all the East African Luo groups, Padhola of Uganda seems to have maintained the observation of this practice the most. They refer to it as Apipili. They offered food and sacrifices at the Kuunu, which are their ancestral shrines. It was a time for celebration as the baby was believed to be more grounded on earth and had acquired better immunity. The gifts included but were not limited to millet, sorghum, amaranth, cassava, all kinds of flour and grains. They brought dried fish, dried meats called alia, indigenous vegetables, firewood, and beads for both mother and baby. The new mother's beads, tigo, were made into a necklace symbolizing blessings. The new baby's beads were tied around the child's wrists or waist with a scutula for protection. Here are more than 2,500-year-old Egyptian scutula amulets believed to have carried life-saving liquids. They were typically attached to the waist using leather strings or beads. Lielonyathi, shaving. The shaving was traditionally done by the grandmother, in the absence of whom an elderly lady from the same clan would step in. They used a razor, water, some particular herbs blended specifically for baby. The herbs were said to have protective qualities like antibacterial, antifungal, and energetic or spiritual protection. Miyo nyathi nying, naming. This was done a few days after birth by the parents of the child. The child's name was inspired by time of day, season, major events at the time of birth, ancestors of famous inspirational figures in society. For example, Honorable Raila Odinga was named after stinging nettle, which is called Aila in Joluo. While President Obama's surname is thought to come from ancestors who had a crooked or bent leg. Examples of time block inspired names. War or war. That is the time between midnight and dawn. So a male child would be named Owor or Odwor. In Anywaa, it would be Owar. A female child would be Awor or Awar in Anywaa. Early morning, just before sunrise, is called Mondo. Male child would be Omondi and female Amondi. Okinyi is morning in Joluo. That's very early morning, just after sunrise. Male child would be Okinyi and female Akinyi. Nyango means dew, so it's a child born mid-morning just after sunrise when there's still visible dew on the ground. So the male would be Onyango and female Anyango. Chieng means sun, and it has a deeper meaning than that. There's the chi word that we'll get into later. So that's midday to early afternoon when the sun is at its peak. Male child would be Ochieng, female Achieng. Evening is Odhiambo. Male child would be Odhiambo, female Adhiambo. 10. This is night time, before midnight. The male child would be called Otieno or Othieno. Female would be Atieno or Athieno, depending on where you're coming from. And these names have a deeper meaning than the surface level meanings. They were also thought to be an astronomical snapshot of the stars that determine personality traits and temperament. Names inspired by seasons. Dry season is called Oro in Joluo. So the male child would be Oro, female Aoro or Nyaoro. Famine, Kich. Harvest, Keyo. Full granary, Dero. Rainy season, Koth. So by default, for the male child, you add O in front of the word, and the female, you add A. Therefore, you get names like Akoth and Okoth for children born during rainy season. Some names were inspired by ancestors, inspirational figures in society, and presently various religions have influenced the names used in Luo lands, so the names are used in conjunction with Luo cultural names. Therefore, you get names like Mary, Akinyi, Mohammed, Odhiambo. Circumstantial names were given after the circumstance in which the child was born. For example, Misumba was a child named after a bachelor or a widower. Wino, Awino, named after a child with the nuchal cord wrapped around the neck. Opio, Apio, first twin. Second twin, Odongo, or Ochien, Adongo or Achien. A child born on the hill would be Ogot or Agot. Attribute names. Lam in Nuer or Luo just means prayer or petition. We have Olam, which is a Luo word, but if you look deeply, it's also a Hebrew word that means eternal. Pray, petition. Riek, intelligent. Animal names. We have the pangolin, Mok. Buffalo, Joey. Ojo, Ojowi, or Ajowi for female. Hyena, Ondiek. Crocodile, Nyang. chicken, gweno, snake, thul, grasshopper, dede, elephant, liech, rhino, omuga, bird, winyo. So you just add an O or an A. Now, there are a few names we need to discuss in the comments section below. Please let us know the meaning if you know of these names. These Owala, Ojijo, Oginga, Nyongo, Orengo, Otieto, Ochieno, Okombo, Randa, Majanga, Miseda, Arunga, Magak. You can pause and read through the names. If there's any you feel we've left out, please include it in the comment section below and let's discuss the meanings of these names. Luos also used prefixes like ka, ra, ja, ma, nya. Example, koteko of oteko, jaoko of oko, rabilo of bilo, nyanyir, girl of girls in Dinka. Ancestral naming had many interesting rules and took interesting twists that sometimes required intervention by the more knowledgeable members of society. Here are some examples. If more than one ancestor was competing to be named, mostly they would appear to the relatives of the child in dreams. They would make the baby fuss a lot. This would be resolved by throwing chicken onto the rooftop and picking the one that stayed the longest, more like a coin toss, in this case, chicken toss. Ancestral naming could complicate marriages. In Luo customs, interclan marriage was forbidden and even considered incest. So, if a girl was named after her fiance's husband's ancestor from a different clan, the marriage would not be allowed to take place, as she would be considered a reincarnated spirit of that ancestor, the husband's ancestor, so she would never be married in that home. In the instances where the baby was thought to reject their assigned name, they would be fussy and cry more than usual. That's how it was known that they wanted to be given a particular name. In such a case, an assumption was made that the child either had a strong memory from reincarnation or was already aware of its purpose in this lifetime and needed a certain resonance to help them along. So what's in a name? A name is a word by which a person, place, or thing is identified. Words are produced from sound energy. Sound energy is the energy released by an object's vibration.